Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of tonight's episode called Saving the World. This is Humanity Matters Live. And if you were watching last month, I told you that we would be saving the world this month, and that's exactly what we intend to do. If you're tuning in for the first time, you will find out what we're talking about as those who watched it last month. So tonight, I'm going to start off our program by introducing you to our host, Albert Torcaso.
Well, saving the world. You know, that sounds like a joke, but, my friends and family and people out there, I want to be extremely forward with you. Next week's election, Americans are going to decide whether we want to live or we want to die. Now, I know how extreme that sounds, radical, and maybe most of you will turn this off. But I want to say something to the people of faith out there. You know, they say, God bless America, land of the free and home of the brave. Our very lives, for the first time in any election history, our very lives are on the ballot. If you are a woman voting for Donald Trump, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you think your religious values somehow supersedes everything else. Well, I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. And I am saying to each and every one of you, the worst thing that can possibly happen to this nation is Donald Trump being elected. But let me be very clear on something. There has never been any president in the entire history of America that I have felt was more dangerous. I was not fond of George Bush, the son. He doesn't even come close to how frightening a Trump administration would be. I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, so many millions of Americans, senior citizens will suffer. Mexicans will suffer. Muslims will suffer. Everybody on this panel, because we are officially disabled. We may not have any finances at all if a Trump administration gets in. But that is not what is even the worst of it. You know, you have Trump treating women right and all these other things, but it comes down to nuclear possibilities of nuclear war. And I swear to you, this is not an anti-Trump type of thing. This is trying to preserve our nation, your life, and our world.
Nice, Al.
And I have a video on video, Dr. Cyril H. Wecht. I interviewed him on September the 30th. We couldn't put the whole thing together, so we had to edit it. We're going to have this video on for the next 20 minutes. I want you to listen to every word of Dr. Wecht, and every word as if your life depended on it. And my fellow Americans, it does. But, you know, this is not a personal vendetta against Donald Trump. But we cannot afford to have what is going on to keep going on. And let me just say this. There has been so much talk about these emails of Hillary Clinton. Did the world forget that former President Bush lost 22 million emails? 22 million. Can I say that again? George Bush II, the son, lost 22 million emails. Why wasn't he prosecuted? We have a double standard. And this time, our lives are on the button. Let me be very clear what is at risk next week. It may not be officially on the ballot, but it's every life on this planet.
Well, speaking of George Bush.
And that's all I want to say about that. And then we want to go ahead into the video. Well, go
Speaking
ahead.
of George Bush, the son, his father won't vote for Trump.
Yeah, and that's saying something. But let's
And a
do
lot
that
of
at the end.
Republicans aren't going to vote for him either. So that's something to think about too.
Well, before we do all that, how about we go ahead and hear one thing from Mike and then go into the video?
Oh, I don't really know what to say, Al. I'm just hoping, like I'm hoping and praying that, you know, the right candidate is elected, you know, and me myself, I'm not going to be biased against anybody, but me myself, I think the more intelligent of the two, the more experienced of the two is Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
So, you know, be female or male, whoever's best
This
qualified.
is not about bias. This is
Exactly.
about
Yes.
preserving our nation and our lives.
Yes,
There's a
Al.
difference.
Yes, Al. Yes.
But with that, Doug, I'll thank you to put the video on, and I want everybody to start calling in at 412-231-2288 right after the video. If you care about your own life, you'll listen in. Bring on a man who has every right to disagree with me. I know I was extreme, but it is what it is. Dr. Cyril H. Wett.
Albert, I think your comments are right on target, and it's not possible to overstate the serious nature of this current election and the incredible, horrible ramifications that would likely ensue if Trump were to be elected. When you think of this as an American citizen and you reflect upon Washington, Jefferson, Adams, Jackson, Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt, Woodrow Wilson, FDR, Reagan, even father and son Bushes, and you think about people who have been presidents of this country,
Right.
and correlate that, juxtapose that with the serious nature of what confronts us in the world today,
Right.
and so on, to contemplate for one moment that Donald Trump would be able to deal with this is beyond my imagination. I do not understand how people with some average intelligence, with a modest degree and understanding of the political situation, how they cannot fathom this. It really is so cerebrally amazing that it's difficult to express in a calm, deliberate, objective fashion the horrendous nature of what confronts us. You know, I got to be very frank and candid, as you are, Albert. I understand what kind of person Trump is. He's a egotistical, bombastic, megalomaniac. I understand that. He is someone who will just say and do anything that he wants. He's a billionaire. He plays the game across the board in every way, like a businessman and so on. Right. Today he could be a racist. Tomorrow he could be a misogynist. The next day he could be anti-Latino. He could be anything in the world. There's no doubt about it. And while this is something that we cannot accept and do not, we can understand the fact that a human being with his background can be that way. Not accept, but understand.
Right.
What I do not understand is all the people in America, and at this point in time, it's almost a 50-50 split, according to the polls,
right,
okay, as of this time, who say that they're for Trump. I do not understand that. And I'm going to say something too. I don't know what percentage, whether it's 10 or 50 or 90, but I do believe that many people who are supporting Trump are doing so because Trump is saying and expressing the things that are deep inside of them that they
Exactly.
know are not socially acceptable
Exactly.
today. You cannot come out and use the N-word. You cannot come out and utter anti-Semitic phrases.
Right.
You cannot come out and attack women. You cannot
right.
come out and say something about all the Muslims and all the Latinos and so on. You can't, because some people do, the outright bigot and racist, but 99% of people today
Right.
in our society know better than to do this unless they're
Right,
maybe in one of the local saloons and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and they're letting it fly. And what is the possible explanation for people who are hardworking, going out every day, paying income tax to the United States government,
Which Trump didn't do
accepting
that.
Donald Trump, the fact that this billionaire, most likely, and I would be willing to make a bet right now with you, with any one of your viewers, that the reason he is not disclosing his income tax return is because he paid no income tax. Not because he's concerned, did he give enough money to charitable organizations?
Exactly.
Did he take all the deductions? I would be willing to bet. So my question back to these people again is, how can you, Mr. X, you, Mr. Middle-class white American male, you're working your tail off, you're struggling to put food on the table, pay for your kids in college, and you are for Donald Trump, okay? And I believe that a significant percentage, not all, of these people is because Trump is appealing to
Exactly.
some of the innermost suppressed statements and feelings that these people have
That's
that
right.
they know will not be acceptable today.
That's
So,
right.
all right, now let's get to the business of Trump. Just think, my wife is from Norway, and she still plugs in to the Norwegian
All
press
right.
and so on. And she says they're having fun over there.
Oh,
Now,
no.
I would be willing to bet you if you
Oh,
plug
no.
into Italian or
Yeah,
Polish
yeah.
or Serbian or French
Yeah.
or Belgian or you name it, I'll bet you that the people in any one of those nations are having the same fun.
Oh,
There's
I know
nothing
they
different
are.
about the Norwegians. All of them are saying to themselves, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Albert,
But it isn't.
I want to tell you something,
It's
Albert.
all.
If you wrote as a book what is going on in America with Donald Trump and everything he's said and done, and that he is running for president and has wiped out 16, 17 other Republicans, including governors, senators, and other top people in the primary, and he stands a chance, possibly, of winning the presidential election. If you were to submit this scenario to a publisher, he would say to you, look, unless you want to do this as a spoof, a satirical piece,
No one will
otherwise,
believe.
but if you're submitting this as a serious novel, sir, please go back and rewrite it. Nobody would accept it. But this is reality. This is what we are confronted with. This man, this egotistical, blasphemous, derogatory, denigrating monster, this man is there in this position, is frightening and disturbing to me as an American. Setting aside that I'm a Democrat,
Exactly.
that,
This goes beyond all that.
set aside your political beliefs and look into the credit of so many of the top conservative Republicans, and we don't know, counting the total number of people,
Right.
but let's look at the major industrialists. Let's look at the major political figures.
All right.
Let's look at the major financial people and so on. To their credit, they are not backing Donald Trump.
That's
They're
true.
still giving their money for Republican candidates who are running for Senate,
But
House
not
of
him.
Representatives, and the local races in their state, and the gubernatorial races in their state. And that's fine. That's fine. I understand that. But they are not giving money to Donald Trump. And all the retired admirals and generals, people who were in charge of defense, and the Secret Service agencies of this country and so on. So I give them credit. I thank them very much for their courage.
I do too, because
you
it
see,
takes a lot.
in today's Wall Street Journal, as we talk here today,
Okay.
on September 30,
Right.
there is a big op-ed piece in the Wall Street Journal by Dorothy Rabinowitz, one of their top journal editorial board
Okay.
people, and she praises Hillary Clinton and explains everything and lays out the case against Trump. So you can be sure that that would not have been published if it were not for the fact that I predict that the Wall Street Journal will come out for Hillary Clinton. The Wall Street Journal, now they will not back Clinton. They will not back Trump. That is for sure. There's a huge editorial, almost the entire page. Well, it is an entire page with a rebuttal by the vice presidential candidate Pence on the Republican side. A full-page editorial, the first time in the history of USA Today that they have endorsed a presidential candidate. Read it today, September 30, USA Today. If you haven't seen it, go back and get it.
Go
see
get
it,
both
okay?
of those.
And you see, there's a big newspaper in Arizona. There's a big newspaper in Detroit. For the first time in their history, they have not endorsed a Republican candidate for president.
That's true.
So then you come back to Mr. Hardworking, ex-white
Right.
American male, okay, working for. Tell me, sir, what is it that you see in Donald Trump that these people who are conservative Republicans, who are intelligent, educated people, who are wealthy themselves, who have worked for the government, who have been admirals and generals, who are major bankers, major industrialists, some of the richest men in the world, and so on. Tell me, sir, what is it that you see in Donald Trump that these people fail to see? What is it? There's the challenge to these people. Tell me what it is. Talk to me about issues. Tell me what you think Trump is going to do and what he stands for that appeals to you.
But I want to say something to the audience. If Ronald Reagan were alive today, he would so quickly disavow himself from the way Donald Trump is acting. Now, I don't hate Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, there are some things in his book, not the nasty stuff, but the idea is never giving up. Wait 1 second. Go ahead, ring.
Secretary will get it.
I'm good. I don't care. I actually like that. But there's some philosophies that are good. I'm not saying he's all evil, but even he must have brainwashed himself from his being such a narcissist. But let me say this: Reagan would be turning over in his grave. He probably is. Well, I know he's not, but so like I said before, for Bush, the father, to not come out and say, I'm voting for him, that's something. But also, Meg Whitman, who used to be the CEO of eBay, staunch Republican, is actually supporting and going to vote for Hillary Clinton. And I think she's with HP right now, or she was. This is an amazing turnabout. This is not Al just being in love with Hillary Clinton. And I want to give you one other piece of disclosure. I like President Obama. But there's a law, which I'm sure you're familiar with, called the National Defense Authorization Act. It basically takes away our nation. We are living in an illusion, theoretically. And because what this law does is it allows our nation to essentially, if you're accused of terrorism, basically if they want to kill you, they're allowed, and it covers all 314 million or whatever. They can take you to Guantanamo type of things. So what happened was, in 2013, President Obama, on I think it was New Year's Eve, passed this into law, which is a provision in there that says, doesn't matter who you are. You can be held accountable, whatever, if you're accused of that, whatever. And it takes away all these rights. So this is very relevant. I came out about that time, I think it might have been 2014, and I said every member of Congress that signed this bill and the president should be arrested and put in prison for treason. I didn't go to the original extreme, you know what I mean. You would have been doing an autopsy, but that's off the record. But I said they should be in prison for 25 to life. I think it was 25 to life. And I liked the president. But he was wrong on this. And frankly, he was the end of Donald Trump's book. 3 letters, it starts with an A. I still like him. I support him. But on that, he was wrong. You might wonder, why am I bringing that up? For this reason. People say, oh, you're just a Democrat. You love all the Democrats. People say you're just for Clinton. People say you're just for Obama. No, I am for Mr. Joe out there, or Jack, or Jane, Miss Jane. Donald, I must be drunk. for a minute. I don't drink alcohol. I meant to say Dr. Wecht. I don't want to accuse you of that. I apologize. Dr. Cyril H. Wecht. What I am for is humanity. What I am for is every one of us being alive. What I am for is prosperity. And I want to make that very clear because, you know, I like the president, but when you do wrong, I will point it out. I make that point because when Hillary wins, when she does wrong, I will point it out. That said, we are going to close this out, but instead of just being a guest, you are going to close it out with your last 5 minutes or whatever, but keep one thing in mind. When you're ready to close, at the end, I always do this. I say, remember that you and humanity in all forms of life really does matter. So when you're ready, you start.
Well, thank you, Albert. I won't take 5 minutes because we've talked a great deal and expressed our thoughts, I think, quite firmly and I hope clearly. I can only say that this is the most important election, I believe, without any kind of exaggeration that has confronted us as Americans since the nation was born. If you go back to the election of George Washington and continue on, there have been some very, very important matters, unquestionably. But if you think of this election, what's going on in the world, and we don't have to repeat everything, you know,
right,
just by watching a little bit of television, reading the newspaper, you've got to be aware of what's happening. And then if you correlate that with the fact that nuclear warheads are in the possession of many nations in this world, and you've got some people who are at the edge of things, the dictator leader of North Korea, the Ayatollah and his people in Iran, to be specific, and others, and you think of what kind of catastrophic events this could result in with regard to the entire earth, then you got to sit back and say to yourself, what am I going to do about this? And insofar as this election is concerned, you may not be, and we know in fact that there are a lot of people, we know from the polls that there are a significant percentage of people that do not like Hillary Clinton, okay? But there's going to be a day in your life, especially if Trump were to be elected, and what would ensue thereafter, that your children and your grandchildren are going to say to you, Grandma, Grandpa, Mom, Dad, what did you do back in 2016 for that election? What did you undertake to express your thoughts and feelings? What did you do in talking to your friends and neighbors and trying to make them understand? How did you allow that kind of debacle to occur, to elect somebody like Donald Trump to lead this great nation of ours at such a crucial moment in world history? And that is what you should think about. Set aside whether you're a Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, whatever your race, religion, ethnicity, nationality may be, just stand back as an intelligent person or as someone who would like to be thought of as intelligent, not necessarily highly educated, but somebody who is aware of what is going on, the socio-political world, the socio-economic world. You and your family, think about that, and then think about what is happening and who the people are. So voting for Johnson, the libertarian candidate who doesn't know what Aleppo is, who doesn't know whether people were injured in Manhattan when a bomb exploded, etc., or the Green candidate, you're wasting your vote. You are wasting your vote to say that you want to express your feelings. No, that's not good. When you vote for Johnson, when you vote for Stein, you're wasting your vote, and you are in essence voting against Hillary Clinton. So I urge you, not as a Democrat, you know, at my age and stage, I'm not running for anything. My one child of the four who's involved in politics, he's not a Supreme Court justice, so there's no politics involved there. I'm speaking to you as a fellow American. Think it through. Think it through. So this business of I don't like Hillary Clinton, I don't trust her, look at her, listen to her. Think of her experience. think of the ability she would have to deal with world leaders, to deal with the crises that confront us in this country and throughout the world. And then make sure that you and your family and your friends and your neighbors get out and vote on November 8th and cast your vote for Hillary Clinton. You're a Republican, then vote for the Republican candidates for all the other positions. Fine, I'm not trying to win you over as a Republican to vote for Democrats. I have not, neither I nor Albert today has addressed the other offices, the other positions in this Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that are important. I haven't talked about that at all. We're talking about the presidency of the United States of America. We're talking about your future and your children and grandchildren's future in this great, magnificent country of ours. Make sure you're out there on November 8th and cast your vote for Hillary Clinton. Thank you.
Too bad I can't cast my vote for Dr. Cyril H. West. God bless you.
Thank you.
But you forgot one thing. You have to close us out.
Oh, how do I close out?
I told you. You want me to do it?
Yeah,
you just
do.
follow
You-
my
no,
lead.
you do the close.
Get ready to do your arm. Okay, here we go. Remember, no, this hand, this left hand.
Left hand.
Okay, remember, watch this. Remember that you and humanity in all forms of life really does matter.
Very nice, Al. Very nice.
Well, thanks.
Very nice, Al.
Well, like Dr. Weck said, my fellow Americans, this is not about Democrat and Republican. Frankly, you know, we have that song, God Bless America, and we even have on our currency, In God We Trust. And whenever we hear atheists or the ACLU or somebody say there is no God, most of us, whether we're believers of Christ or another religion, or even, I think sometimes agnostics, you know, people get upset when they say, you know, there is no God. But I'll tell you the truth. I feel like if Hillary doesn't win, then maybe God has turned his back on America, and I don't believe God has. Now, honestly, how am I feeling? When I did that video about a month ago, I felt for sure Hillary was going to win. Then this nonsense with the emails came up. Now I really don't know. I do know that Halloween was yesterday. I do know that I've been in horror movies. I do know I've watched movies, slashers and frightening movies. There is nothing in the entire history of this planet that is more frightening than the prospect of that man getting in control of being able to launch the nuclear weapons. And I want to tell you a little sidebar before I bring on Mike. A few months ago, there was a so-called Facebook friend. He tried to emasculate me, trying to claim that Donald Trump cannot order anyone to set the codes off that launches the bombs. So you know what? I let it go by. I even made videos saying, well, whether he does it or not, another country that we're at war with could. But then, last week, I decided to check. Well, it turns out, my fellow Americans, that there are 5 sets of 2 soldiers, Navy men, whatever. There are 5 teams of 2 that will have the ability to launch each bomb. 5 sets of 2. So even if 3 sets were to mutiny and say, no, we're not going to do it, there's still 2 teams that can. That means the bombs can very well be shot off, and we can die. To further make you wet your pants, and it's about time maybe you do, because a whole lot of you are acting like, well, I'm sorry, but not very smart. But let me further make you wet your pants a little bit. Turns out, I always thought, well, if they launch the bomb and then they find out it was an accidental alarm, or for whatever reason they want to recall it. Guess what? Once those bombs are shot off, we die. Because there's no kill switch. There's no way to recall those bombs.
Do you hear that,
There's
Trump
no
supporters?
there's no way to kill that bomb.
Do you hear that, Trump supporters?
I want you to hear that, because when I read that part, that scares me more than the fact that they can be shot off. Because what if they're shot off, we can't stop it. So I want all of you who are Donald Trump supporters, I want you to do something very, very important tonight.
Turn to
I want
Hillary
you to look
Clinton.
at your family members. I want you to see if you really love your family members. See if you really love yourself. See if you really love any God. And ask yourself, what if hell is full of 10 kinds of you know what? And we vote for Hillary and things don't go great. I want you to ask yourself that. But then I want you to ask yourself a second question. What if we vote this guy in and Al is right? Does that mean you still love God? I say no. Does that mean you love yourself? I say no.
No.
Does that mean you love your children? I say
No.
no. Do you love America? I say
No.
no. And everything you can ask yourself, I say no.
No.
Because if you vote for that man, make no mistake, I don't care if you are in this building with me tonight. I don't care if you're my best dang friend on the planet. I'm not going to pretty it up for you. I never have, I never will. Our lives are at stake on November the 8th, period. And if those bombs are launched, when we meet in the afterlife, I hope God forgave you, but I don't think I will.
I won't either.
I don't think I will, because you are going to possibly destroy God's creation and all of your family, all of my family. And for what? Not to mention the absolute disturbing actions of this man, wanting to bring up walls. When Ronald Reagan was in office, he told the Russian president to tear down that wall. Now Trump brags about bringing up a wall against Mexicans. He says, let's ban every Muslim. You want to talk about terrorism? Okay, let's do that for a second. Donald Trump is a lot more frightening than all of the terrorism on earth.
That's right. Nice, Al.
Because that man can order the destruction of this planet. And by the way, former Facebook friend, I know you won't be watching. Maybe somebody that you know will. You, sir, were wrong. They can mutiny and we can still die. But let's let one thing sink in. If they are launched, they cannot be stopped. If they are launched, my fellow Americans, now I believe in God. I'm not a good Christian. I can guarantee you that. I'm not a good anything in terms of God. I need to do better. And I'm a sinner. You better believe that. But I'm not going to be the man responsible for every living person on earth dying. Are you? Because I'm not. You want to talk about abortion. You want to talk about family values. What family value is it to put a gun to your head, a gun to this nation, and say, you know what, let's let him in. And we're going to talk about a woman's emails. What about Bush? You know, I'm having a really hard time with much of America knowing that by this time next week or a little bit later, we could be on the verge of essentially committing suicide. Now, I know most people don't believe what I'm saying. I know most people think I'm being dramatic, extreme. But again, what if I'm right? What if George Bush, the father, is right to not vote for Donald Trump? He's a former CIA guy. He's not voting for Trump. He knows something's dangerous. It is very frightening to know that we could all be on the verge of dying. You know, it seems to me that if God did bless America, and I believe that he has, but if God really blessed America, how could we put God's creation at risk? You know, I'm at this point, I am so upset with what is going on. How they are crucifying, chastising, and destroying women and destroying Hillary Clinton. It is an abomination is what it is. It's an abomination. But you know, I'm going to have to try to calm down a little bit.
Hillary Clinton is a human being who made a mistake.
Yeah, but what about Bush's 22 million?
Yes, he made a mistake.
22 million.
You don't
it's a big
see
difference.
people making a big stink.
And he didn't even get investigated. Why?
Yeah, you're not making
Why?
a big stink about George Bush.
Well, with
Just
that,
because Hillary's a woman, right? You have a problem with having a woman as president.
that's scary. But at any rate, we did promise Mike to get
Go
in
ahead,
here.
Mike.
So what I want him to do is say his piece, what his thoughts are, and then he's going to answer the call.
Okay. So what I would like to let everyone know is that Elle just interviewed one of my heroes.
Okay.
I have nothing but respect for Cyril
I
H.
agree.
Weck. I look at him as being a great man, and if you ask me, I think he'd be a heck of a president.
Yes, he would.
But here's what I want to do. I want to quote Michelle Obama. And Michelle Obama made a quote saying, "Don't let anybody ever tell you that America is not great."
That's true.
Because America is a very, very, very great country to live in.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
Okay, now
For now.
Yes, for now. You know, so like I really hate to say this, but look, man, the only people that are out there voting for Donald Trump or I hate to say it, they're racist, they're hateful. These are actually people that would rather see war than peace.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right, I know what you mean.
So like I don't want to get like too far, you know, away from my
Make love, not war.
but yeah, I like to you know, quote what Miss Michelle Obama said, you know, and like she said, don't ever let anybody tell you America is a great country, and it always will be a great country until the day Donald Trump becomes president, and then it's something that only God can help us out of. So we're going to take the call. Next caller.
Wait. Before we hold that call for a minute, please make sure that you retract that one part. How about when Hillary Clinton wins?
Okay.
Now, do you honestly think, who do you really, in your heart, right now, this very second, think who's going to win?
Hillary. She's better qualified.
Boy, I hope and pray
She's the
you're
better
right.
politician. She's better qualified, and she's way more intelligent than Donald.
And she
Trump.
won't get us killed.
You know,
Yeah, she
you know,
won't
so,
blow us up.
So you're not looking at a president that says something about I hate people. You know, you're talking about you want a man to become president that says he hates. I hate Muslims. I hate Mexicans. That's a powerful word to use.
What did they do against him that he's so against them?
But one of his companies, one of his businesses is in Mexico, so he's just a double standard person. You don't know what to believe from Donald Trump.
Well, you got a call.
Okay, so caller, you're on.
It's just me. It's just Diane. You know me now.
I think I know you
Now,
by now.
Al, here I know you. I watched your Cyril Rex thing. That was funny, I thought.
What was
Well,
funny
what
about
do you guys
it?
think about Pat Toomey and what
Wait
do
a
you
minute,
think about
Diane.
Pat Toomey? Can you hear me now?
Diane, we are not going to talk about Pat Toomey, so I'm not answering
Well-
those questions.
Well,
It's not about
Diane,
Pat
there
Toomey.
was nothing funny about Cyril Wecht. He was as serious as
What was
a
funny
rock
about
star.
it?
Pat Toomey's running for thing too. He can be.
I do not want to talk
I
about
like
Pat
Hillary.
Toomey. But-
Hillary's going to win, and everybody knows that.
Everybody don't know
Let's
No,
that.
they
hope to
don't
God.
know that.
Oh,
There's
Let's-
too many
if you sit there and read about
Don't call them
emails,
idiots.
that's all garbage.
I
You
called
know
them
all the
as I see 'em.
Republicans say all that stuff.
Okay, but Diane, we
Okay,
don't
there's
want.
too
Okay,
many
wait a minute.
fools out there
Okay,
now.
but Diane, we're not going to be talking about any other. Look, at this point,
Yeah.
I have. Listen to me. I have my opinion about other people campaigning for office, who I want to win, who I don't want to win. But at this point, none of that matters. We need to decide, do we want to live next Tuesday? We need to decide, do we want to live or do we want to die? It comes down to that. Do we
We'll
want to
be
live
fine.
or do we want to die? So for me,
I say we'll be fine
well, I hope and pray you're right, Diane.
So do I.
because everybody thinks everybody,
scary
everybody
thought.
likes Hillary.
Well, Diane, I can tell you right now, I know so many people who are planning on voting for that man. And to me, I don't think they realize who they're voting for. I think that
They're brainwashed.
it's not even so much that. You know, there's a lot of, let's be honest about it. There's a lot of bad things going on in America. You know, a lot of the middle class is lost. You know, African Americans, there's a percentage that wants to vote for him. Okay? But what we need to understand is these bombs are there.
Well, if we
I
die,
don't believe
we
there's
can
any
take
bombs
them.
anywhere.
They're there, Diane. But,
Well, how? I don't know. How would you know?
we all know for those of us
But
who
I don't
know.
think there is any bombs.
Yes, there
But
are,
I think
Diane.
Hillary's going to win. But I don't think there's no bombs
Let her
anywhere.
finish. What, Diane?
I don't think there's any bombs.
There are bombs, Diane.
Oh,
What world are you living in?
I don't know.
There's enough
I live
bombs.
in my own. I live in.
You're in your own
state-
world, Diane, if you
Oakland.
don't think
That's
there's
where I live.
bombs.
Okay, calm down.
There's
Well, but
Well,
Diane,
you know, I think there's no bombs.
no, there are bombs,
There's
Diane.
enough bombs on this planet to
blow us all
destroy
to
the
hell.
earth
Yep.
multiple times.
Do you
That's
want to
right.
find out,
Multiple
Diane?
times.
Do you want to find out?
I
These
know I don't
Trump
wanna find
supporters
out.
want to find out?
Well, Diane, we're going to go ahead and move
Oh,
forward.
I really say there is no, but Hillary's going to win. Don't worry about it. Just
You
all
better
people
pray
out
she
there
does.
getting
Well,
nervous
you live
over
in your
things.
world,
Well,
and
You pray
be
that she
happy
does.
there.
Pray that she does.
Let that become a
I
reality.
mean, it's 1 week away. So, but
Yeah,
there's,
it's one
there's
scary
other
week
stuff on
away.
CNN News about Donald Trump today. I think I heard.
Well, all right, well, we're going to move
I
forward.
don't really
'Cause-
know, but maybe you should watch that program too. But there's no bombs out there. It's all
Yes,
get
there are,
frightened over
Diane.
What
things.
makes you think there aren't?
All right, cut that, Doug, cut that, please. That's not true, Diane. There are bombs out
You're
there. There's
living in
enough.
a fantasy.
Well, let me finish, please. There's enough bombs between our nation and these other nations to blow up the world at least, I think they said 70 or 700 times.
Multiple times, Al.
It's either 70 or 700 or more times. Every life on earth. And look, do you think it's easy for us to basically lose friends and family over this? I mean, there are people in this building that I respect, that I like, that I have to basically challenge them. And I mean, look, if you believe in God, it's a simple decision. You go in there, you pull the lever. Lever. How do you pronounce that? Lever for Hillary Clinton. And you
not
vote
hard.
for life. Now, I know people are going to say, well, what about the abortion? And what about this?
What
do
about
you want
abortion?
to abort
That's a
7
baby.
billion people?
Yeah, that's a baby that didn't even get a chance to live.
I hate abortion.
I hate abortion too. I always did.
But that said, I don't think a woman
What
should
about
be
the
put in prison.
babies on Earth that will be dying? You talk about abortion. What about the babies that are alive?
What about
that
every
will
life
die?
on earth, Tri?
Well, I know, but I'm just saying we're talking about babies
I know.
here.
I know.
What about your baby? What about the one that you gave birth to, or the ones that you gave birth to? How about their lives being
What
at
about
stake?
your senior citizen mother, your senior citizen father?
Yeah, so I don't want to hear about abortion.
So honestly, this is a hard show to do. Hard episode.
Wasn't
And I
hard for
see
me.
by the calls, most of you aren't watching, which is even more frightening because, not because I'm arrogant like Donald Trump, but if nobody watches this, then what is the point of
There's
doing it?
people watching. They just don't have anything to say. That's
Well, I
all.
think each and every person that's watching who disagrees with me should be calling 412-231-2288.
Or agreeing.
Are they afraid to call? With that and that, look, if Diane, Dr. Weck, and Mike are right, we will survive. If they are wrong, we are basically playing Russian roulette. I will let you know that the polls are saying that Mike is wrong and that Diane is wrong. It's saying that evil is taking over our country.
It's scary.
And I'm angry. And I admit it. I thought America was better than that. You know, when a man talks about having his way with women and then says it's locker room talk my ears. If I had ever been in a locker room and a man spoke about assaulting women, I would not have been a humanitarian. I would have whooped him clean. I would have whooped that man so bad, I would have been in prison for 25 million years. You see, any woman that's voted for Trump already or votes for Trump
Doesn't have respect for herself.
Nice.
Or other
doesn't
Nice.
have respect for
Nice.
herself, or
other women. and
I
girls.
can't say that. It's
Well,
either
I
they
can,
don't
I did.
have respect for themselves or they don't have self-esteem. How do you defend a man who thinks it's all right? Let's just say it was locker room talk. Why is that acceptable? I'm a man. Have you thought is that acceptable?
No.
Talking about, I'm just going to go do whatever I want. Is that okay with you?
No.
Now, what's this about standing in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shooting somebody and getting away with it? What kind of man is Trump?
That's what he said.
He's insane.
That's what he said. He
Anybody who votes for Trump is insane.
Ooh,
Okay, you need
that
your
hurt.
head examined.
That hurt.
That's what you need.
You know what? I don't want to bash everybody. It's
I
not
don't
about
care.
that.
It's
My
the
life
truth.
see,
is at stake.
yeah, but you know
okay?
what? I can't do
The
that.
people I love and care about, my pets and their pets.
But guess what? The people who already voted for Trump, I got something else to say to you.
Thank you if we get killed. That's all
No,
I have to say
that's
to
one
them.
thing I might say, but I love them too. I love Trump supporters. Just as I don't love the hatred, but I love them in a larger sense. And that's why this is more frightening. Can you imagine a world where the bomb's launched
I don't even want to.
and we know we're going to die? What does that feel like? But what does it feel like to the people who caused it? Make no mistake, guys and gals.
It's too late. It's too late to feel anything.
Hold on. Make no mistake. I have said this once and I will say it again. Those of you who vote for Donald Trump, I still love you. I think you're really messing up. But what will your conscience in your last moments of life, if that nuclear war happens, what will you say to yourself, to your family? What will be your thoughts? What will you say to your God when you meet your God?
Nice.
How can you answer God knowing that you freely walked in there and chose to do this? To me, this is like going into a
They're
business.
murdering the planet. Murdering the planet. That's the way I see it.
No, you know what it's like to me?
They're murderers.
It's like having the chance to stop Adolf Hitler's best friend and choosing to
Adolf
cheer him
Hitler
on.
was a dictator, and he was insane too, and he had hatred in him. So this is America. We don't need a dictator. We need a president.
You know,
Hillary Clinton is that president. Now that's all I have to say.
this is what I got to say. It is so hard for me to keep calm because I love the Trump supporters. I don't love the hatred. But I've had friends who were racist. You have too. You know you have. And here's the shock. Not only white people are racist, and we know that. I know there are people of all denominations and pigmentations. But if we don't have Hillary win, what does that say about our nation? What does that say when a man
have
speaks?
Nazis in America.
But when a man speaks openly, I don't get it. Well, we have about 5 to 6 minutes.
I said my piece.
How about you read a little bit of this?
Yeah, take a look at this man, if you can see this book.
It's-
Look how aggressive he is about everything. Now, I'm going to read a chapter from his
I
book.
am going to, but that's all right. You have about
Think
5
Big
minutes.
and Kick Ass is what his book is called.
What's the name of this book?
Think Big and Kick Ass.
Oh, that sounds like a good name. No, don't.
And this chapter here is called Revenge. Okay, here.
Man,
I always get even. In the 1980s, I recruited a woman from her job in government where she was making peanuts. She had nothing when she met me. I thought she was smart and that under my mentoring, she could be very good. She was a nobody in her government job and going nowhere.
That's terrible.
I
Tom.
decided to make her into somebody. I gave her a great job at the Trump organization, and over time she became powerful in real estate. She bought a beautiful home. When I was going through tough times in the early 1990s, I needed her help. I asked her to make a phone call to an extremely close friend of hers who held a powerful position at a big bank and who would have done what she asked. She said, "Donald, I can't do that." I had taken her out of a dead-end government job. I encouraged her. I mentored her. I made her, and then she told me she couldn't do it. I got rid of her, and then she started a business on her own. Now, you might think Trump was right in doing that because he helped her in the beginning, and then she turned him down. But, okay, a lot of Trump supporters would feel that he had a right to. Maybe he does. Later, I found out her business failed. I was really happy when I found that out. She had turned on me after I had done so much to help her. I had asked for one favor in return, and she turned me down flat. She ended up losing her home. Her husband, who was only in it for the money, walked out on her, and I was glad. Over
Wow.
the years, many people have
Wow.
called asking for a recommendation for her. I only give her bad recommendations.
Wow.
I just can't stomach the disloyalty.
And
I
that's
put the people who are loyal to me on a high pedestal and take care of them very well. I go out of my way for the people who were loyal to me in bad times. This woman was very disloyal, and now I go out of my way to make her life miserable.
that's crazy.
She calls asking to get together for lunch or for dinner. I never return her calls. Over the years, I've made many people successful. Some are thankful for it and some are not. Some have long memories and remember what you've done for them, even though they are no longer associated with you, but I find that most people forget. One interesting story that took place recently was about a young golf pro who was and is a fine player, but unable to get on the tour. He played the nationwide tour for a number of years, ultimately achieving PGA Tour status. His first few months on the PGA Tour, he did very well, although since then he has not done well at all. Prior to his making any substantial money, I would let him practice and play at my highly rated course in Palm Beach, Florida, called Trump International Golf Club. For 3 years, he would play the course, hit balls, practice, and thought of it as virtually his home course. When he arrived on the tour and made a name for himself, my head golf pro at Trump International, John Neaport, asked me if it would be all right, based on all we had done for him, to ask him to wear the Trump logo to various PGA tournaments. It wasn't exactly the most important thing in my life, but I said to John, "Sure, ask him. I'm sure he'll have no problem with that after all we did for him." When John spoke to him, he said, "I'm sorry, John. I'll have to speak to my agent." So now I have instructed John, who was very surprised and in fact shocked at this, that after he's no longer on the tour, when he shows up for another round of golf and wants to play the course, just respond by saying, "I'm sorry, but we'll have to call Mr. Trump's agent for permission." Martha Stewart is another example.
Okay, well, we ran out of time, so let's just go ahead and wrap this up.
Okay, but
And
that just goes to show you that if you cross him,
You know, that brings up something very frightening.
what if world leaders cross him?
Exactly.
You need to think about that.
Exactly.
If he wants to get revenge and get even so much, he's not going to hesitate to get even with them.
And put all
And
our
what
lives
about
at
cabinet
And
risk.
there you go,
members?
the end of the world.
Look,
or
ladies
at
and
least a
gentlemen.
war.
Well, probably both. But look, we said our piece. Nobody's watching except for Diane.
You don't know that nobody's watching.
Look, do you hear calls?
No, but I think
You see,
we
they're not
got
going to
here.
call in. They're not going to watch because they know the truth, that they're guilty. I'm sorry, but I love you, but you're guilty if you're guilty. Well, look, in December we have an episode. I just hope during the holiday season, Christmas, Kwanzaa, Ramadan,
We're not praying it's
and
our last
Hanukkah.
Christmas.
I hope that we are not in the most horrific situation in history. With that, I really don't have much to say. I want to hear Mike's final minute or whatever here, and maybe our final minute on Earth. not that soon, but it feels like it.
Well, like we heard Dr. Cyril Weck say, this presidential election is crucial. And I'm just asking people out there to do the right thing. You know, who is the better of the two? Use your brain. It isn't hard. That's all I got, Al.
All right. You got anything before we close?
Yes, I like to enjoy my Christmas. I hate to be praying that it's not our last Christmas because of Trump supporters and voters voting him in if he should be president. So I just have that to say to you. And that goes for Halloween, Easter, Thanksgiving, all your future holidays.
All right, well, let me clear out this. I mean, not clear out, but wrap up the show. I still love everybody. But
I
do
do
you
too.
love God? Ask yourself that question on November the 8th.
And vote for Hillary at Rodham Clinton.
Vote for Hillary if you love God, and if you don't, well,
And if you
I
love
guess
the
we'll all
world
be
and
in heaven.
people and animals in the world.
there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm wrapping it up. So remember that you and humanity and
and
Hillary
all-
Clinton and all forms of life really does matter.